projects we've done with you guys, we've done both construction admin and inspection. The inspection is always an hourly thing. And I think on almost every job we've given money back. We've never used it all. So it's basically a pay-as-you-go type of thing. And that's the way a lot of the contracts are that we've got with you guys. It's kind of pay-as-you-go. So I don't know that even if you ran an RFQ, you would save a lot of money. And listening to Dax, we've had a lot of discussions. We have clients that do. Some of them do inspection with other firms. Some of them don't. Most of them don't. I don't recommend it. In fact, if you were to give me a job for an inspection on a project under engineer design, I always hesitate to do that. Just because, for me, it costs more money to get involved in a project I've never been involved with, and it's going to eventually cost me, I think, more money than allow the firm to start the project.
Persuasive. What you just said about it being a pay-as-you-go, the contract's not written that way, or at least the appendix is not.
Well,
number 2 says lump sum.
Yeah, under construction engineering B, it's based on 5 months at $75 an hour.
So just that piece.
Yeah. And that's all you would get charged. Whatever hours the inspector's out there, what you get charged.
Thank you. Thank you for enlightening me on that.
My feeling is that we really should have a second pair of eyes on the project. You got one firm, one thing doing the design and everything. Get a second pair of eyes in there that can see things that the other firm might not see. They're automatically, they're at vested interest in the design side. So having a second pair of eyes on the construction side to make sure the construction's doing properly, that would be the best way to do it. Now, could we approve this pending if we could find a separate firm to look at this? Well, and if we don't find a separate firm to do the observation, let's go.
Well, I don't think that would be fair to this in a public meeting. They've given a price. Anybody can come in and cut this at this time. I would say moving forward, our directive to staff. Hang on. In moving forward, our directive to staff is to make sure that these are separated out so that we're doing RFPs on this. And I thought that's what our directive was in the last meeting, was to do that and to bring those back to them. But that didn't happen. Time is of the essence in this, and I would think that we've discussed this enough that we should move on with our vote.
I'm sensitive to the time. I would like to see this in the future with all our contracts that be separated out. Yes, we could. I'll go along with this, but we need to have two different firms looking at these projects. They're expensive projects, and having a second pair of eyes is best for the public.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion's adopted.
Thank you.
All right, next up, under unfinished business, is consideration of a contract with Seamless Docks, and I'm going to allow Brad Fodder to come up and discuss this item before we get started.
Thank you for the time. I'd like to apologize that I wasn't here last month when this was initially brought up, but my consideration just from looking at the presentation, that big and a lot about no fees. Well, obviously, they're 4 times under the other bids for this, and they say straight out that there are passes on all merchant fees to those submitting payments. And I didn't see any cost-benefit analysis to us, the end user, how much are we going to be charged then? Because we're paying this fee for a gun permit, building permit, whatever, and that typically, I thought, was for all the paperwork and was for that process. Well, this company's going to tack on another fee. I mean, it sounds like cost plus to me, and it sounds like we're going to be paying a fee on top of a fee, and that all should be wrapped in. I mean, as well as not everybody's computer literate. And I think there has to be an option for somebody to be able to come here and do the same form and be able to pay directly. Because some people also don't want to do their credit card on the internet. I mean, there are those considerations. And that, as well as that gives these companies incentives to lower their fees. Whereas if we go with something like this, from what I'm seeing, there's no incentive to them to lower their fees. They might as well just keep raising them because they've got us. So I just feel like it was so far under that I can't imagine what they're going to be charging the end user. And I think the total cost is what's important to me. But, and discussion.
Thank you. I think those are some valid points. Thanks for sharing. Okay.
It's a great plan. Nancy did a great job of bringing up the idea, and Lauren and others, and pushed it to bring up the idea to create fillable form. I think we can do that in-house. Now, it's going to be cumbersome and take some time, but it's okay. I think we can do somewhat of the process in-house. We made a motion that says move to give staff, allow staff the time and resources to explore options to create this project with minimal cost. That would be my recommendation of the motion.
That's what we asked for last time.
Well, you asked for quotes, but you had already been given. So we looked at those, looked through those, and like what Brad is saying is that this is a project that needs to be done to bring us into 2015. There's you can go a lot of places and fill out your form online, and quite frankly, our website doesn't have a good page to do that. Adobe allows you the ability to do that. It is a long process in-house, but I think we have the staff on board now to do that. And we've purchased the Adobe product. It's already here and running, where we can perform this function in-house. And so, yes, you asked us to come back, take a look at it. My recommendation is we move away from this particular company, but continue on with the process of creating a fillable form, an online document type idea.
Yeah, I think there absolutely has to be a way for people to fill out forms online if they want, and the choice to do it by paper. We need to have both available. I think part of the question with the fee is anytime there's a credit card process online, there's a processing fee with that. So transparency of what the fees are would be important. And correct me if I'm wrong about this, but I think the same thing, the way it works with utility bills, we've seen, like, if there's a fee like that, the town cannot absorb that fee. That has to go with.
Well, the utility could absorb the $4 per transaction. They could, but if everybody did a credit card, that'd be about $150,000 a month
Right.
that we absorb. So, you know,
That's why that
there are
is.
people that say that I do this through Verizon and I don't get charged the credit. Well, of course you don't, because you're dealing with the giant of giants, and they're not absorbing that fee. It's somewhere in your bill.
It's in your bill.
You're paying that somewhere in your bill. The taking of credit cards, we can do that as well. We do it for utility, we do it for parking, speeding tickets online. You can pay online speeding
So
tickets.
we already have the online payment gateway, and we're really just talking about forms.
You really, when it gets down to it, you're talking about the forms item here, correct?
So if somebody comes in and brings paper forms, can they still pay by credit card? Do we have the?
If you come in this building right now, there's nowhere in this building where you can use a credit card. We're working on that. We do have software. Utilities is ready to roll. Because that's probably after the exit 130 interchange, that's probably the second thing that I hear quite often is, how come I can't use my debit card in this building to pay for my bills?
Legitimate, that's more concerning for me than, paperless or fillable forms, that we can't have people pay for remodel permits or building permits or anything else by not using a credit card. Seems far more dated than a fillable form.
Yes.
That would have been to me something that our treasurer should have brought up way before fillable forms, is that we can't accept credit cards. And that's a little.
There are some things that you have to accept a check for.
Right.
You have no choice. You can't do that.
Okay.
We've been talking about utility for quite some time. The product through Fry is in the office. It's been here for a while. And it was a couple months ago, Nicole, who's now our billing office manager, Amanda and Jason and I sat down and started the conversation of, what we need to get this changed, get this fixed. He should be able to come in and pay for other transactions with your debit card as well. The court, I don't know what the judge would have to do to make some changes. Right now, it's money order or cash, which is still 1975. And the billing office, quite frankly, right now is check only. We don't even take cash. So those are items we need to modernize. We can do a fillable type form ourselves, and then in the future, maybe, hey, let's stop doing this ourselves and go a different direction. But everybody's been pretty teamwork oriented on this. Amanda doesn't want cash. She'd rather, cash is terrible. That's her. It's a 4-letter word for her.
The town side, the town still does take cash for small things. And we provide that to utilities. If they don't want to take cash, and that's another thing. I wanted to say really fast with the forms. You can't just say pay online and they don't know how much to pay. That form allows them to fill out everything before they get that payment. So we know how much that they're permitted, so we can write out, and it's going to the right account. That's why that is the first step.
So I'm supportive of staff figuring it out at minimal cost. I would say just 2 technology notes. With the Adobe tool, just checking on the end user side if the person who's filling the form doesn't have Adobe to make sure it still works.
Understand.
And the other is have a look at FormStack, because I think
FormStack is good.
they have a free version, don't they?
Already got my notes on my desk.
Okay. I'm sure there's others out there you guys should do.
There are. There are.
I'd like to give you guys a shot at trying it yourself. If it doesn't come back, maybe put a time on it.
I'd like to see us figure out how we can accept credit cards for the other services within.
Amanda's been working, it's been a good, like I said, she's been working hard on that, it's been a team effort. We know it's what we need to do, so I applaud her for bringing this up and starting this conversation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll move on to new business. First up, we have the public hearing for the adoption of the 2016 budget. And I will open the public hearing for the Whitestown 2016 budget now. Is there anyone here from the public who would like to comment on the budget? All right, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second. Just right.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Public hearing is closed. Now for
You
discussion.
will read this,
The
you will
2016 budget.
sorry, you only read this once, so.
Questions, or can we get a first read?
You just need to read it once. Ordinance or resolution for appropriations for the tax rates, any tax rates. Be it ordained and resolved by the town of Whitestown Council that for the expenses of the Whitestown Civil Town for the year ending in December 31st, 2016, the sums herein specified are hereby appropriated and ordered, set apart out in several funds herein named and for the purposes herein specified, subject to the laws governing the same. Such sums herein appropriated shall be held to include all expenditures authorized to be made during the year, unless otherwise expressly stipulated and provided by law. Maybe my screen bigger. There we go. Provided by law. In addition, for the purposes of raising revenues to meet the necessary expenses of the Whitestown civil town, property tax levies and property tax rates as herein specified are included herein. Budget Form 4B for all funds must be completed and submitted in the manner prescribed by the Department of Local Government and Finance. This ordinance resolution shall be in full force and effective from and after its passage and approved by Whitestown Council. The DLGF reviewed funds. General is $4,707,792. Adopted levy is $1,047,715. A tax rate of 0.3526. Lease rental payments is $138,500. The adopted tax levy is $152,141. A tax rate of 0.0512. Local roads and streets, $50,000. Adopted tax levy, 0. Adopted tax rate, 0. Motor vehicle highway fund, $1,527,000. Adopted levy, $1,029,335. For an adopted tax rate of 0.3464. Fire, $3,215,351. Adopted tax levy was $3,096,395 for a tax rate of $1.0421. Continuing education, $5,000. Adopted tax levy, 0. Tax rate, 0. Parks, $300,000. Adopted tax levy, $175,568 for an adopted tax rate of 0.0591. QCAP development, or otherwise known as the SIG tax, is $7,325. Adopted levy, 0. Tax rate, 0. QCAP development, $81,340. Adopted levy, $100,000 for a tax rate of 0.0500. Total tax rate adopted is 1.9014. Home rule funds not reviewed. The deferral fund adopted budget $15,000 and parks impact fee $200,000 for a total of the home rule fund at $215,000. The ordinance or resolution for appropriations and tax rates approved and adopted at the next meeting. Reading it.
All right, next we'll move on to the first read of ordinance 2015-21, an ordinance amending ordinance 2008-12 to prohibit smoking in public places. Is there any public comment on this ordinance? Please come forward to the mic and introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Gary Keller, and I purchased Ralph's in the north end of Whitestown and converted it over to, it's going to be called The Office. That bar and establishment has been a smoking establishment for 30 to 35 years. Called The Office. Our hopes is that when gentlemen, businessmen get off of work, they can come in there, they want a cigar, they can have a cigar. If they want to smoke a pipe, they can smoke a pipe. If their wives want to come in and smoke a cigar, help themselves. I put in a pretty elaborate air system in there to cleanse the air. I'm really hoping that this is something that I can make a decision on my own business, and the people that are 21 and older coming in there can make their own decision. The only other place that I see this might affect in Whitestown would be the American Legion up there in Whitestown. I don't know, will that affect the American Legion? If this is a no smoking
proceed, our attorney. This would take all commercial establishments and take the smoking away. Why can't we do all establishments like a fraternity, like the American Legion and everything else? If we're going to do this, let's just do it. Why can't we do that?
Yeah, that's up to the council. I mean, we decided, based on Dax's direction, it was to maintain.
We're going to leave an exception carved out, I think we're defeating the purpose. So,
That is your current ordinance has an exception for fraternal.
it does.
And then there was also a separate one for smoking in bars or establishments that are over 21. And then there was also an exception if you had a bar that was separate with a separate ventilation system, even in a restaurant that had a lot of people under 21. And so those were the two that we've eliminated in here. But if you guys want me to go back and do that, I can go back and make that adjustment. And it's certainly in council's discretion. I'm not aware of anything that any kind of special protection for like an American Legion or a fraternal organization. I can double check on that, but I think that you do have the power to do that.
Okay.
What would be the rationale for treating clubs differently from other establishments?
They're private, there's a membership fee, they're typically not open
The sign says open to the public.
on special dinner nights and things like that. You have to be a member to purchase any kind of alcohol, anyone's welcome to come in and buy us whatever, something like that, or dinner, but in order to join a club, you have to be a member, as with the Masonic Lodge, DFWs, Moose, I may be rattling on too many, I'm just trying to think about the private clubs. And typically your private clubs are 501s, they're nonprofits that give back. I don't know that any of that matters.
Can you come forward? Yeah, come.
I'm sure Ms. Similar would know most of the laws and the rules, being that she's an employee of the American Legion up there. And I really hope that to word this right, that I'm not just getting poked at by an employee of the American Legion because they're concerned that I might be taking some of their business away from them, having another smoking establishment. And if so, am I able to be a club? You know, I've seen other bars that go, hey, you pay $1 a year, we're now a club, you can smoke. I don't know, and I really don't know what the laws are on it, but, it's check. So, just want to say that. Thank you.
Thank you.
So if the purpose, my understanding of the purpose behind smoking bans of any kind is to protect people from secondhand smoke, primarily the employees, right? Customers have a choice to go or not. Not everybody has a choice of where they can work, especially at times when unemployment is higher or the economy is going to take what you can get, and then you take secondhand smoke with it. And those are the people we're trying to protect. And I don't see a difference between the people who work at either type of establishment in terms of protecting their health. That's just my thought. Personally, I'd like another month to think about this.
I definitely think we need more time to think about this, but do we even want to do it first?
Well, you've already read the title, that is first reading.
Title of the book. We can table it. We can do whatever. 5 of us wish. Tabling it,
Right.
more information from everyone is fine.
When we adopted it to begin with, there were other businesses in Whitestown that were smoking establishments, so it's not the original one, and we took a lot of pressure at time to allow any of them to allow it at all, so let's definitely give it some consideration.
So,
You guys remember from way back, I was doing it as opposed, and it was opposed not because I didn't think it was a good idea, but I thought it should have been at the state level, that this be taken care of. So I was adamant that the public municipality taking it versus the state.
And the state has a statewide smoking ban that they accept establishments that are at 21 and over, and fraternal organizations, 501c3 fraternal organizations, so.
So our
You
current,
can be more
our current
strict.
ordinance mirrors the state's.
No.
We looked at it a long time ago, there were differences, but there's some overlap. It's whichever is more restrictive applies. You prohibit smoking in homes that have daycares, the state doesn't do that, or a couple others. I mean, there's a few differences, but it's basically more restrictive applies.
so I'll move that we table ordinance 2015-21.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion, it's been seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion is adopted. All right, next on the agenda is ordinance 2015-22. Consideration of an ordinance approving a transfer of appropriation in the fire fund.
We're requesting this appropriation from Group 3 to Group 2 to kind of supplement our maintenance line. We're intending and proposing to use the fleet intelligence line that had $10,000 in it that was not being used this year, moving that into our maintenance line to supplement. As I mentioned earlier, we have one apparatus that took 2/3 of our maintenance cost or maintenance budget at $21,000 from our $31,000 we had. Well, we have a lot of other apparatus that have had quite a few expenditures, and upkeeping a fire apparatus is a little more expensive than upkeeping a personal vehicle in comparison. So we just want to make sure we have a lot of, we have some tires we need to purchase for the apparatus. We have a couple major fixes on the pumps to make sure we're up and running to our best capacity. So we want to just move that from Group 3 up into our maintenance line in Group 2 to make sure we have enough to get through the end of the year and hopefully don't have any more big surprises.
Josh, forgive me, what is fleet intelligence?
Fleet intelligence was initially presented this year. It's essentially kind of like a black box data recorder, if you will, for every apparatus. It's a program that really didn't get off the ground this year, and I know there's still thought process into that, but that was there in the budget this year. It's not getting used, so
Is it a plans for next year?
I believe so, yes.
Any other questions?
Can we do this one first reading? Appropriation transfer?
Yes,
Is
because
there
it's all within the
suspend
same
the rules?
requirement. You have to do, yeah,
We
yes.
have to suspend.
But you don't have to do a public hearing.
Do we have two readings on something like this?
Yeah, I mean, it's an ordinance. It is an ordinance, so you would have to suspend.
You'd have to suspend the rules.
So do we do first reading? So the first reading transfer appropriation ordinance 2015-22, whereas it has been determined that it is now necessary to transfer appropriation from one major budget category to another major budget category in budget for 2015, whereas the transfer of appropriation does not require expenditure of more money than the total amount set out in the budget as finally determined by the state, whereas the transfer is made at a regular public meeting, whereas the transfer will be certified to the clerk treasurer. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Whitestown, Town Council, Boone County, Indiana, the following transfers of appropriation be made to the 2015 budget. So increase in appropriation of $10,000 to the fire repair and maintenance line, and a decrease of $10,000, the same amount in the fleet intelligence line.
Make the motion to suspend the rules and have second hearing, or second reading.
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Rules are suspended.
Second reading by title, transfer appropriation ordinance 2015-22.
Make a motion, we adopt transfer appropriation ordinance 2015-22.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion's adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, letter D, we have ordinance 2015-24. Consideration of an ordinance amending the town policy for town cell phone numbers.
E on the published agenda.
Well, right,
Yeah.
we took out the D, so I just moved it.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm behind. This policy was in place prior to my arrival, and it gives me and I much consternation for a couple different reasons. One from a billing or payroll perspective, another from the equipment use perspective. There's a benefit in our employee manual that an employee may use their town-issued cellular device as a personal phone as well, so long as they make a payment of $15 a month out of their paycheck. I believe, I'm a firm believer in that town-issued cell phone should be used for town business only. I carry 2 phones at all times. Protects the business, number 1. Protects the employee, number 2 now. Yes, you're paying to use it as your personal device, and as your personal information, but I just think it's in the best interest of, I don't know how many people use it. I don't think we're taking a lot of money out of paychecks at this point. It's not going to have a huge effect on the number of the employees. So now, there's one exception. Utility workers, laborers, are on call, but basically at all times. And so Jason and I have been discussing this. We think he's come up with a plan on what to do. Not all of them have town-issued cell phones, some of them do. But just issue all utility workers a town cell phone for when they need that call and there's 6 inches of snow on the ground. He and I are still working out the details of that particular portion of the change.
Call down the phone if it's just a question of calling someone anymore.
Well, I don't think we want to force them to use a personal device to be able to call.
I think that's very common though. I mean, remember back in the days before we all carried one of these?
I do.
If you were on call,
I do.
you got called. And if you had a phone, that was your own phone, and you got called on that and said, hey, come to work.
Most of I think all of our utility workers have town-issued cell phones, so this is all a matter of, they can be gotten a hold of. It's all a matter of, do they want to carry 2, a personal phone and a town-issued phone.
Does anybody make pagers anymore? I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me to give them a phone if the only reason for them to have it is to say, hey, you're on call, come in, and that's it. Like, that's a lot of money to spend.
There's new sewer plants and your new wastewater treatments, and along with your water towers are all connected to the utility cell phones, which when there's an alarm in the middle of the night, actually goes to their phone and tells them there's a high water alert, you've got a failure at a pump, it's not just come to work.
Yeah, right.
So anybody that
Because
says
every
call,
single utility employee needs to
Yes.
get those alerts.
there's at least 4.
Yeah, there's 5, actually it's 5.
Yeah.
So the ones that have phones now have that function.
Nobody's getting their town-issued phone taken away.
Right.
That's not what this is
No,
about.
but you're talking about buying more phones, but people don't have them now.
I think everybody, all the utility employees have a phone. What I'm saying is that it does inconvenience employees because if you want to use that phone as a personal device, you have to use your own personal phone. That's what this changes. So if I want to sit and play whatever game I want to play, I would say you do do that on your personal device. We don't do that. We don't sit here and play games on I don't play games on this Surface. When I take it home, I do nothing but town business on this Microsoft Surface right here. Nothing but town business. I don't let my daughter use it. I don't let my wife use it. I use it for town business only.
So what's the real challenge? That we're having trouble with the $15 a month that we promised employees they could use that phone and not have to carry to? Is this all over $15 that we're having trouble taking out of payroll?
No, the challenge is, there's been some instances across the country where, especially if you see, and you see FBI, there's been instances where people have been using, say, a state-owned device or a town-owned device to do things that are illegal. Now, are any of our employees doing that? No, they aren't. We have a great team. Is that something that could happen? Possibly. Watch the wrong movie, play the wrong game, on your town-issued device, even though you're paying to use it as your personal device, and what is the town liable for with that? Those are the issues that we're talking about with this particular benefit.
I'm sorry, it was brought up as a payment because it was $15 a month, so I'm going with
The 15 is not paying. It's knowing who's using that 15. Is it really coming out of their check? Are they using it? Should there be people paying the 15 that aren't paying the 15 that are having a town issued cell phone they're using for personal? We don't know. We're going to have to take everybody's cell phones and say, hey, let me see that. Are you calling, your personal people on it? Are you using your personal email through it? I guess this could be the Hillary Clinton rule. Sorry, I didn't mean to bring it up, but it did. She's in a debate right now.
That's my only question is, if you're not allowing them, if we're going to say you can't use your town cell phone for personal use, how in the world